Cube in My Pocket by Adrianna Cuevas. Chapter 1 Santa Clara, Cuba, April 1961. This is not my home. Tia Carmen's kitchen doesn't have my model of a P-51 Mustang or scattered pieces of a Rector set. Instead of a mango tree out front with a tocororo nest in its branches, there's a crowd of soldiers slapping one another on the back and firing their rifles into the night air. My cousin Manuelito slaps another domino down on the table. Doble ocho tonto, he cackles. His stubby fingers fidget over the remaining dominoes in front of him. Don't call me stupid, I say, narrowing my eyes. Mommy paces behind Manuelito, twisting a red dish towel in her hands. She reaches for the cross at her neck, and I hear her mumble the Lord's Prayer. Padre nuestro que está en el cielo. Sharp shouts outside Tia Carmen's house cut off the rest of her prayer. Mommy? My little brother Pepito starts to get up from his chair, but Mommy puts her hand on his shoulder. Don't worry, Nene, it's fine. Mommy and Tia Carmen exchange worried looks. They may be fooling Pepito, but they're not fooling me. Fidel's soldiers defeated a force of Cuban refugees who had fled to the United States and were trained by the American government. The refugees tried to invade Cuba at the Bay of Pigs, but Fidel's army quickly overtook them. From what Papi told me, this was our last hope of ridding our island of Fidel's oppressive government. Keep playing, Kumba, Mommy says as she waves her hand at me. The candle on the table where Manuelito and I sit flickers, bouncing long shadows of dominoes across the plastic floral tablecloth. I try to focus on the tile in my hand, but the shouting outside increases. I shake my head and slap another domino down on the table. Tranque, I blocked you. The waistband on my pants digs into my stomach, and I fidget in my folding chair. The chair squeaks, prompting Mommy to give me a quick look from the window. She dries the same bowl over and over until the dish towel is limp in her hands. Tia Carmen tries to turn the radio up, but Mommy snaps the volume dial down. I don't want to listen to that foolishness, she mutters. Manuelito looks at me from across the table. The light from the candle turns his eyebrows into thick brown triangles, and his fat cheeks cast a shadow on his neck. Your papi come home yet? He sneers, and the candlelight elongates his front teeth into fangs. Tia Carmen crosses the kitchen in a blur of cotton flowers. She slaps Manuelito on the back of the head, his neck snapping forward and flipping his brown hair into his eyes. Cállate, niño, she hisses. Manuelito's being told to shut up offers little consolation. He doesn't know. He has no idea that at this moment my papi is tucked in a corner of our house, hiding from Fidel's soldiers. He sent us to Tia Carmen's when Radio Rebelde blasted the news of the impending Yankee invasion. I don't want you here if they come for me, he said as he ruffled my hair, the smile on his lips failing to hide the nervousness in his eyes. Fidel's soldiers were rounding up anyone who had worked for former President Batista. Papi was a captain in the army, even though he was just a lawyer in the Judge Advocate General's unit. Those 2 bars on his uniform made him look important. I wrap my feet around the legs of the folding chair to keep myself from kicking Manuelito. He's a year younger than I am, and he prides himself on being the most annoying 11-year-old in the world. Manuelito lowers his head closer to the table, his eyebrows thickening and his fangs growing longer. He whispers, It's not going to work, you know. Fidel always wins. I unwrap my left foot from the chair and kick him in the shin. Manuelito winces. That was for Papi. Tia Carmen turns the radio up by the sink, and Mommy purses her lips. Aquí, Radio Rebelde, shouts a deep voice from the speaker. The Yankee imperialists have failed, are failing, and will fail to overthrow our glorious revolution. News of the Bay of Pigs invasion fills the kitchen. Fidel has been giving speech after speech, taunting the Cuban exiles and their American supporters. The anthem of the 26th of July movement, Fidel's government, blasts from the radio, and Mommy turns it off. I sigh. Manuelito, Pepito, and I try to concentrate on our domino game, but it's no use. You're supposed to play with 4 people. Normally, Papi would have been our 4th. Pepito lays down a new domino, and his eyes grow wide. Ay, caramba, la caja de muertos! He slaps his hand over his mouth before Mommy can hear him curse. Pepito has always thought the 9 tile was bad luck, because it's called the dead man's box. When I hear the stomps and shouts outside, I'm reminded that there are worse sources of bad luck than a little white tile. It's okay, Hermanito, don't worry, I reassure him. I swipe my hand over the dominoes we've laid down, erasing our careful rows. Game over. I show Pepito how to line up the dominoes in front of one another and knock them down in a cascade. He claps his chubby hands and starts to set up the dominoes himself, sticking out his tongue in concentration. Mommy sets down a glass of water in front of me, and I pretend not to notice her shaking hand. A sharp pop of gunfire explodes outside, making us all jump. What are they doing? Pepito asks. Mommy lets out a long sigh. They're celebrating, Nene. Pepito scrunches up his face. That doesn't sound like celebrating to me. There isn't any music. Eventually they will have music. Of course they will have music. And parades and speeches. So many speeches. That's what they always do. But there's always guns first. More pops of gunfire burst outside. We hear a whiz and a snap as a bullet hits the concrete wall of Tia Carmen's house. Pepito, Manuelito, and I instinctively duck our heads, and Mommy shouts a word she smacked me on the back of the head before for saying. Laughter erupts outside along with shouts of Patria o Muerte. Manuelito, Pepito, and I try to line up the dominoes again, but our hands shake too hard. The tiles keep falling over prematurely. Manuelito gives up and starts gnawing on his fingernails. A sharp knock interrupts our game, and Tia Carmen opens the door. A man in green fatigues stands in the doorway. His black, greasy beard glistens in the candlelight coming from the kitchen. Good evening, compañera. Wonderful evening for the revolution, no? He sneers, looking at Tia Carmen up and down. She crosses her arms in front of her. What do you want? The soldier raises his eyebrow. You hear we defeated the Yankees? Everyone's heard your nonsense. Tia Carmen clicks her tongue and stares hard at the soldier. From the kitchen, Mommy hisses, Carmencita, tranquila. The soldier pushes past Tia Carmen, the rifle slung over his shoulder, smacking against the doorframe. He stands over us, sitting at the kitchen table with our dominoes. My palms start to sweat and stick to the plastic tablecloth. You boys should be proud. You've witnessed the power of the revolution over the Yankees. The power of Cuba over the imperialists, he declares, hands on his hips. Tia Carmen rolls her eyes and Mommy elbows her hard in the ribs. The soldier turns on his heels and stands an inch from Mommy. You know, compañera, the revolution is always seeking young men for the cause of freedom. Mommy grips the kitchen towel in her hands until I think her knuckles might burst through her skin. I crane my neck to see her face, but the thick stock of the soldier's rifle is in the way. My heartbeat pounds in my ears, making it nearly impossible to hear what he's saying. Do you need anything, compañero? Mommy asks, clearing her throat. I know she's trying to distract the soldier from his current line of thought. In the last few weeks, rumors have grown about boys my age and older being shipped off to the Soviet Union to train for the military. Last week, Ladislao Perez quit coming to school, and Pepito swears he's on a boat headed straight for Moscow. I might think that wasn't true if it weren't for the soldier's hungry eyes sizing me up every time I walk past the garrison. The soldier runs his hand through his inky beard. A glass of water. It's hard work celebrating our victory. The soldier winks at Mommy, and my stomach churns. Mommy fills a glass and hands it to him so quickly water sloshes out onto the tile floor. The soldier takes a long drink, water droplets sitting in the curls of his coarse beard. He saunters over to our table. You need a fourth, he says, picking up a tile. The soldier slams his glass onto the table and sets his rifle against the empty chair. The black barrel points at an angle toward Pepito. I grip the table hard, staring at Mommy. She hurries over to us and places both hands on Pepito's shoulders. They were just about to go to bed, she says, her voice fluttering. The soldier flips a tile between his fingers and looks at me with black eyes. And how old are you? I swallow hard, almost forgetting my age. 12? I manage. The soldier places his hand on top of my head and ruffles my hair. His hand is heavy and hot. Mommy's grip on Pepito's shoulder tightens. A sneer grows across the soldier's face. I imagine we'll be seeing you at the garrison soon. All the sons of Cuba must do their part. Hot liquid rises in my throat. I think I might throw up. The shouts increase outside, and the soldier tosses the tile onto the table. He slings his rifle back over his shoulder. Brushing past Tia Carmen and Mami, he exits into the night with a raised fist and a shout of Venceremos! I pick up the soldier's discarded tile and flip it over in my hand. 18 dots stare up at me like a spray of bullets. The dead man's box.